The president of the United States launched a token entirely permissionless on DeFi rails literally a month ago. And if that isn't a thumbs up and a green flag to come on in, then I don't know what is.
We're going to be able to earn double-digit yields with our XRP. This is monumental. Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's video breakdown, this is going to be one that you are not going to want to miss. We're going to be jumping into some developments surrounding RLUSD, XRP, listening to some industry-leading experts from major organizations like the Stellar Development Foundation, showing you all that earning yield on your digital assets is the new wave. This video breakdown is undeniable proof that the DeFi infrastructure is maturing at a very rapid pace. Institutions are 110% interested, and this video breakdown is going to confirm that from SEC registered organizations and representatives from those organizations confirming this to be the case on stage. Again, this is going to be one of those video breakdowns that you can share to the naysayers, to the individuals that are like, oh, DeFi isn't regulated, it's not fit for institutions yet, and it's a scam, and we shouldn't be earning yield on our digital assets. Today's video breakdown is going to put an end to all of that nonsense. So make sure that you all tap in. As always, welcome back to the platform. We do appreciate the love and support. If you enjoy these types of deep dives, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. If at any point in time you guys want to dive deeper into the CYPRX private community and learn how we are earning yield on our digital assets, head over to CYPRXtrading.com. We'd love to have you in the Wealth 28 Club. So before we jump into all the fundamentals today, we're going to be listening to these industry-leading experts right here. This is a video breakdown that was posted on April 1st, 2025. So it is relatively fresh, only has 1,000 views. This is going to set the pace for today's video breakdown. Listen to these two industry-leading experts here talk about how the DeFi ecosystem has matured and how Trump pretty much gave the green light for DeFi this year when he launched his Trump meme coin. Just take a second here and listen to what these people have to say.
Yeah, I think very much agree with Rob. I think this year in particular, we're hitting that inflection point in terms of institutional adoption of DeFi, right? Because especially if you kind of take a look from the more global perspective, right? You have firms like Laser Digital, which is a Nomura subsidiary, direct subsidiary, right? With the explicit mandate to actively trade in crypto and market making crypto. And then you have, Middle Eastern sovereigns, right? Putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet and be very public about it. And I think to Rob's point, a lot of the DeFi plumbing that was first kind of pioneered in like DeFi Summer 2021, right? They've gone through like V2, V3, been battle tested and can start taking institutional positions in size and can start taking institutional positions in size. And in addition, I think there's a lot of tailwinds with Bitcoin ETF adoption, right? Where you have now, Larry Fink of BlackRock kind of going on MSNBC and like bull posting and like really championing not just Bitcoin, but crypto as a whole, right? Where it's, I think, really turning the landscape to, I think oftentimes, right, in kind of institution and enterprise environments, sometimes things flip pretty quickly after a couple first movers from, okay, we don't want to touch DeFi, like it's too risky, to what is our DeFi strategy, right? Why do we not have a DeFi strategy? We saw this with Metaverse, right, last cycle, and I think we're seeing this with DeFi now.
I just want to respond to one thing, to the regulatory point. I think you're completely spot on for what the attitude has been. The president of the United States launched a token entirely permissionless on DeFi rails literally a month ago. And if that isn't a thumbs up and a green flag to come on in, then I don't know what is.
If that isn't a massive thumbs up and a green flag to come on in, then I don't know what is. And that's, again, coming from experts in this industry talking about the maturation of the DeFi ecosystem. Now, here is a document. Here at CYPRX, we always like to provide documented proof that this is happening, that these institutions are telling you all this. Major consulting firms, large financial institutions, data analytics firms are all telling you guys this to be the case in their documents by, going and surveying these financial institutions, these TradFi firms. This is huge, right? So this is the document titled TradFi Tomorrow, DeFi and the Rise of Extensible Finance. It talks about how DeFi is inevitable here. And it says, we surveyed 300 professional working institutions across the financial services sector and a number of advanced economies. And then if we just briefly skim over this to look at some key highlights, it says more than 2/3 of TradFi firms are currently looking at DeFi. Why aren't you? It's most likely because you're being misled by the retail crowd that is skeptical, that thinks that the entire DeFi ecosystem is a scam, one within itself. And that is the farthest thing from the truth. You need to be doing research. You need to be tapping into like-minded communities that are actually sharing the good, valid information like we are here at CYPRX, because these institutions are 110% tapping into this info. It says TradFi firms are looking at new technologies as a way to drive down costs and boost returns. Down here, it mentions financial organizations, the likes of BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, even Visa, and it says 66% of TradFi firms are doing something with DeFi. There is your visual confirmation right there. We're going to get to some verbal confirmation here in just a second. But again, you have these naysayers that are like, oh, institutions aren't here. Yes, they are. And the statistics show exactly that. We asked those familiar with DeFi about their perceptions of its potential benefits relative to the existing system that they rely on. Then down here on page 25, it says TradFi firms think that it's inevitable that DeFi will eventually be critically important to most core businesses.
So Matthias, from your perspective, how is it looking like for the traditional financial systems to be able to build this new infrastructure and integrate it well with the traditional setups?
Yeah, on the side of the banks, as we are quite fortunate, as I mentioned, many of the traditional banks are now already adopted cryptocurrencies into their core banking systems. And
it asked about their perspective on DeFi between now and the next 15 years. And out of the financial institutions that were surveyed, 39% of them said that in the next 15 years, they believe DeFi will be very critical. 28% of them said that it will be critically important. Again, that is huge. Then it talks about the impending change mirrors what happened in prior eras of the transformation in TradFi. It talks about the acceleration of e-trading and shortening of settlement cycles. And we know that DeFi offers the opportunity to reduce settlement times to near instant levels. And many institutions are already testing that potential today.
Actually, your day-to-day, you're interacting with payments in a digitally native manner. And maybe these first few phases are testing and challenging the chains to be able to handle the volumes that are coming.
Already testing that potential today. So I wanted to share that from an institutional perspective. Let's dive back into some other documentation that was recently dropped this year. This is a document that I shared for you guys in collaboration with EY and Coinbase 2025 Institutional Investor Digital Asset Survey. There is so much alpha in this one document. I mean, so many statistics, so much valuable information. And here you can start to see little tiny key vocabulary words. It talks about DeFi stablecoin utility. That's something that we're definitely going to get into with the RLUSD and some options that just became available to us as retail investors. But back to the institutional side of things, I always try to get you guys to see that institutions are interested, which is again why you should make an aim or an attempt to become financially literate on these new digital technologies. These financial institutions are picking up on that slack. The number of surveyed investors that engage with DeFi is set to triple over the next 2 years, from 24% to 75%. 51% of individuals surveyed said that right now they do not participate in DeFi protocols directly, but they plan to within the next 2 years. Among those currently engaged with DeFi or planning to, what use cases is their firm most interested in? And you can see right here, it talks about 40% are interested in derivatives and 38% are interested in staking. 34% are interested in lending and 27% are interested in yield farming. There's also borrowing and gaining access to altcoins in the mix there as well. If we come over here, last but not least, it says 84% of respondents either use or express interest in stablecoins for generating yield. That is a perfect statement to transition us over into the next segment. It says among those who are interested in stablecoins, how interested is your firm in using stablecoins for the following use cases? 73% of these institutions surveyed in this, right? And you can see it talks about hedge funds down there at the bottom, European and US institutional investors, right? So that's who was surveyed in this. 73% of them said that their interest is in yield generation through stablecoins. Okay, do you see how massive this is? Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. If we go over to Aave, all right, you guys gotta tap in. Aave actually just posted this out the 23rd of April, 2025. Yield is the Trojan horse. Okay, and do you all remember what Aave announced just the other day on April 21st, 2025? Users can now supply and borrow RLUSD, Ripple's enterprise grade stablecoin.
what does it mean for Ripple's business? Because you've been on a path to really diversify the business beyond kind of how you started in payments, and there's custody, stable coins now. And so what does this add to the Ripple business?
It's all coming together. So we've talked for a long while about institutional decentralized finance. Many of us here talk about institutions coming into the world of blockchain and DeFi. And this is going to blast that into a new milestone, kind of a new stratosphere.
Okay, when this first launched, this had 0 TVL locked. And now if we look at the TVL on Aave in RLUSD, there is $72 million in TVL right now. That is huge. That is not retail money, right? Retail traders aren't just, facilitating $72 million on the Aave platform and earning 6.92%, albeit you have the ability to, okay? You as a retail investor with micro amounts of capital can come, you can lend your RLUSD onto this Aave platform and you can earn yield. You can generate passive rewards. This is just one of the many ways that you can generate passive rewards in the DeFi ecosystem. But I just showed you guys a document that says that 84% of financial institutions and respondents that were surveyed amongst hedge funds, US and European institutional investors, 73% of them are actively interested in utilizing DeFi to generate yield on stablecoins. And I just physically showed you guys how, as a retail investor, you have the ability to do this right now. Okay. And there's so many other opportunities out there, which kind of leads us over to this. All right. Take a second and listen to this industry leading expert. Her name is Ann Winston. She is the director of strategy at Wave Digital Assets. Now, just for the record, to show you guys that we are listening to individuals that stem from organizations that are SEC compliant. So that way, because I already know there's always people in the comments that are like, oh, DeFi is a scam. It's not regulated. Blah, blah, blah. Look at this. Okay. You guys got to tap in and just pay attention to detail. They're not going to come out and tell you all that everything's good to go, but just think about it. Institutions are 110% participating in DeFi. And do you think that if it wasn't to some degree or to some extent somewhat regulated, they would be doing so? No, by any means. And I'm going to show you all by the end of today's video breakdown that regulations are maturing in the DeFi ecosystem at a very rapid pace. Okay. Wave Digital Assets, known as Wave, is a SEC-registered investment advisory firm that provides a unique combination of venture capital fund and private wealth management to the digital asset ecosystem. And when asked the question, do you see financial institutions coming in and providing liquidity for stablecoins like USDC and generating yield on them? Do you see institutions doing so? And this lady responds to this question with,
and maybe do you think that a lot of banks might just consider jumping into a liquidity pool and providing some USDC if that's the most compliant stable coin out there to earn some money, especially if you're sitting on loads of bank deposits and there's a much higher interest rate that you could earn doing that?
No, 100%.
Oh no, 100%. And again, that is coming from an individual representative from an organization that is registered with the SEC. And this stemmed from an event from January 2025. So it's relatively recent. This video was dropped March 28th, 2025, has 72 views. And the announcement of this panel discussion is shaping tomorrow's financial landscape through DeFi. Okay. I cannot stress enough that now is the time to be tapped in, paying attention to this information. So let's get off the stablecoin topic for just 2 seconds. All right. We are entering into an era where we are going to be able to generate passive income with our digital assets, our utility assets like XRP, for example. Flare just announced this. It's happening all on Flare. And they dropped this little tiny video. And one little tiny snippet that I really am interested in learning more about is where they say we're going to be able to earn double-digit yields with our XRP. This is monumental. We're entering into an era, and I've said this before, where we are not going to have to sell a portion of our digital assets. Yes, of course. Pay yourself with some fiat money, buy yourself something nice. You've been hodling for years. You deserve it, right? I get that. But generational wealth is not going to come from selling these utility digital assets for fiat currency and then getting stuck back in the traditional financial system. Real wealth creation and longevity in this digital asset ecosystem is going to come from learning how to take your idle digital assets, your utility assets, and deploy them into the DeFi ecosystem so that you never have to sell them. And instead, you're paying yourself through passive income with your digital assets. Okay. If that has not hit you yet, wake up and realize that that is what's coming. If this is your first video breakdown on the CYPRX platform, pause this one, go over to our yield playlist in the CYPRX list of playlists and watch those videos. It will blow your mind as to the transformative potential that we all now have equal access to, that financial institutions have the same access to generate yield with our digital assets. So check this out. I'm going to play this 20-second long video clip. And it just goes, there's no verbiage or anything like that, no words. It's just visualizations. But just look at what's happening right now, what is about to take place and what we're going to have access to, especially for those long-term hodlers that have this 20, 30 and beyond vision. This is monumental for people like us, because instead of having to sell our digital assets at a premium and then go back in a market pullback after the next market cycle and trying to time all that, F all that, I'm just going to take my XRP. I'm never going to have to sell that. I can just take that, go deploy it into DeFi or a portion of it, right? Because you always want to manage your risk properly and then just generate passive rewards. That's huge. Okay. Who would not want to do that? Take a second and check this out. The capital base for XRP-Fi on the horizon. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Back to the stablecoin ideology, and then we'll kind of start to wrap it up, wind this down. We'll get into more documents here, but this is from Stellar, and I'm showing you all this information from some of the largest organizations, right? We got Ripple, RLUSD being launched on Aave. Aave going on to say yield is the Trojan horse, okay? Stellar here said in an X post, Black Mirror episode, but it's a future where you are your own bank. Transfers cost pennies and your money travels with you. Oh, wait, ... Because they know that this is already happening, okay? I've told you guys that DeFi puts the power of the banks back in the hands of the people. DeFi, according to Stellar, in another post that they made just recently on April 13th, DeFi is not about replacing banks, it's about upgrading them. And that is exactly what is happening. We are now at the precipice of being able to earn way more yield than a traditional financial bank account can give us. And banks know that if they do not integrate these new solutions to their clients, they risk falling behind. And I've shown you guys that in previous video breakdowns.
So you're a banking CEO, and you just heard this great explanation from Christine. How do you prevent your bank from getting bypassed by some of the things that she's talking about in terms of products?
You have to provide that. You have to provide that because they have the incumbency advantage to do that.
So once one financial institution adopts these things, they all will. And you have industry-leading experts from the Stellar Development Foundation, like Tomer W., I'm not going to butcher his last name, the chief product officer at SDF, going on to tell you exactly this. Pay attention and listen.
The more competition there's going to be around, how much yield and how is it distributed to the users. And so I think this place where we're at right now, where there are a bunch of stable coins and functionally they're doing the exact same thing, I don't think that's going to stay for long. And, people are realizing, I made this equivalent for like a checking account earlier. If you're just holding dollars and not getting yield on them, you're effectively losing money, right? So if you want to be a participant in the on-chain economy, you want to have a way to park your money in a way that generates yield. Yield-bearing stable coins are the way to do that. And there's going to be a lot of competition with that space.
There's going to be a lot of competition with that space, right? We've talked a bit about RLUSD, XRP earning potential in the near future. You're now hearing from individual experts from the Stellar Development Foundation, all these organizations whom in which you most likely know, and these digital assets that you know of, but yet there's so many people out there that are still skeptical about DeFi. But these organizations and these institutions are the one telling you all to your face that this is happening. You'll notice amongst the mainstream retail average day influencer on the internet that has thousands of followers, they're still giving out price projections and when they're going to sell and how high these prices could go. DeFi honestly makes price predictions irrelevant because it doesn't matter if a digital asset like XRP is $1 or $1,000. We're going to be able to live in the future and operate in a world where we can take that XRP, no matter what the value is, and earn passive rewards and never have to sell it. So in reality, again, towards a portion of our portfolio, price predictions become relatively, honestly, irrelevant. I mean, higher prices, obviously, of course, will be nice, but they don't matter when you shift your mindset and realize you can literally just pay yourself now with your digital assets, which is, again, why we stress the importance in the Wealth 28 Club to tap into this information. Let's head over to another layer one that I'm definitely focused on and fixating a lot of my attention on. And the DeFi developments have been absolutely insane. And there are some really great stablecoin developments that have just recently taken place. Aptos quietly had one of the strongest second halves of 2024 last year. They had 700% TVL growth. They integrated major real world assets, and they had lots of different stablecoins going cross chain. All right. Down here, it talks about how Aptos is now home to multiple real-world asset funds like BlackRock's BUIDL, Franklin Templeton's FOBXX, Ondo's USDY, and I've already shown you guys in previous video breakdowns how BlackRock and their clients are earning massive amounts of dividend payouts.
We have to give investors the ability to perhaps earn greater yields or offer them features or attributes that their traditional counterparts aren't getting. So, for example, in BUIDL, our BlackRock money market fund, investors are getting daily dividend payouts versus in traditional products, they're getting them monthly or even quarterly.
For example, this was posted 3 weeks ago by Securitize. Back in March, the BlackRock USD Institutional Digital Liquidity Fund issued by Securitize distributed an estimated $4.17 million in dividends, the largest monthly payout ever for any tokenized treasury fund. That brings the total dividend payouts since its inception to $25.4 million, underscoring the growing demand for institutional grade yield on chain. So yet again, more physical proof that institutions in the now are earning and generating yield. And if we come back to this post, you can see it continues to go on for the retail opportunities, right? And we just heard the individual representative from the Stellar Development Foundation mention earning yield on your stablecoins. We'll check this out. Petra Wallet, which was built on the Aptos chain, added new features like PetraPay and Petra Earn to support retail payments, right? And if we come over here to the Petra Wallet X profile, they just announced April 22nd, 2025, USDC is now available in Earn on Petra Mobile. And you heard the individual representative from the SEC registered organization say, oh, 100% financial institutions are going to want to earn yield on their USDC.
And maybe, do you think that a lot of banks might just consider jumping into a liquidity pool and, you know, providing some USDC if that's the most compliant stable coin out there to earn some money, especially if you're sitting on loads of bank deposits and there's a much higher interest rate that you could earn doing that?
No, 100%.
I'm again physically showing you all proof that you all, as manual retail investors, so you choose to take the risk, right? So you choose to learn how to do so, can earn yield on your stablecoins. With support for USDC and USDT, things just got twice as nice on Petra Wallet. Receive up to 12% annually on stablecoins, which is way more than any traditional financial institution or bank account will offer you. Deposit your stablecoins for the opportunity to earn yield with low fees to grow your stablecoin deposits. That is massive. To continue down the rabbit hole, I have 3 more tabs open for you guys. If you're enjoying today's video breakdown, always showing you all the realest information in the game, all from financial institutions, all from industry leading experts, documented proof that this is happening. No hype, no hopium. I'm not sitting here making all this stuff up. I'm physically showing you guys tangible proof that this is our reality. If anybody is telling you that this is not, they are not doing enough digging. They're not doing enough research. Block that noise out. Tap into CYPRX, because here we are tapped into the research from an institutional perspective, right? DeFi for institutions, speaking thereof. This was a post from Zodiac Custody where I said the largest players in crypto will be earning yield. Why won't you? And we can see this is a post back from when I posted it on April 17th. It was 3 days old, so this was from April, and it says, DeFi is maturing. TradFi is listening. And this is again coming from Zodiac Custody, who's backed by banks like Standard Charter, many others like Northern Trust, so on and so forth. At Zodiac Custody, Bytes and Bucks, co-hosted with AWS startups, leaders from digital assets and traditional finance came together to explore how the two worlds are converging. From enterprise-grade DeFi to stablecoin utility, here's what leaders from Visa, SBI Digital Markets, SC Ventures, and others had to say. Bridging DeFi and TradFi, real transformations will come when risk-adjusted products meet institutional-grade controls. And over here, it talks about stablecoins with a purpose, right? Not just sitting idle, and earning and generating passive rewards, and how they are discussing and talking about DeFi for institutions. Protocols building with capital efficiency and sustainable yield are gaining traction. These talks and these get-togethers and the wake-up call amongst not only retail participants, but institutions is happening right before our very eyes. As we roll down the rest of this video breakdown, we're going to just kind of dive and take a look at some ongoing regulatory developments, showing you all that this is happening. So here, April 16th, post 2025, I said DeFi is maturing. On-chain ID is a self-sovereign identity system that just launched that's set to bring trust and compliance to DeFi. Okay, here is the post with their on-chain ID solution. You can see that it mentions and talks about how no individual or institution wants to publicly expose their private or confidential information. These players also need to ensure that their person or organization that they're dealing with, i.e. the protocol, creator, developer, operator, has been verified by a trusted party, bank auditors. On-chain ID brings this missing compliance layer to the DeFi ecosystem. This is huge. Okay, this is, again, valid information that blocks out all the naysayers. Is like, oh, DeFi is a scam. It's just all, smoke screen. It's not really being regulated. That's bullcrap. Don't listen to that stuff. Reading this, it says the on-chain ID protocol is already used by securities issuers and financial institutions to automate the validation of compliance rules in connection with security token transactions. As the blockchain industry matures, its application across economic activities broadens and accelerates the on-chain ID protocol and how it can be used for permission decentralized finance, or DeFi, bringing the compliance layer currently missing for institutional players to step in. And you heard the individual experts at the very beginning mention that institutions are interested, and Trump pretty much gave everybody the green light to participate in DeFi. Okay,
You're completely spot on for what the attitude has been. The president of the United States launched a token entirely permissionless on DeFi rails literally a month ago. And if that isn't a thumbs up and a green flag to come on in, then I don't know what is.
Yet another reason why you should not be avoiding furthering your education in the DeFi ecosystem. Tap in with us here at CYPRX. I'm telling you guys, people are sleeping on this info. Last but not least, all right, we have this document where I said the most bullish signal in this entire report. This is a report from the European Securities and Markets Authority. Look at the date. It is from the 19th of March, 2025, on the conditions and criteria for qualification of crypto assets as financial instruments. And in this post, I said the crypto assets that mirror shares, bonds, or other securities and are negotiable on capital markets will be classified and regulated as financial instruments under the MiFID II. This brings tokenized securities, DeFi platforms, and real-world assets into full legal alignment with traditional markets. That paves the way for industry-leading experts like BlackRock, JP Morgan, and others to scale on-chain legally, securely, and globally, right? This is massive. And this is a document from this year. Now, just plugging this into ChatGPT so you can simply understand these documents, it's very easy to read thoroughly through them with artificial intelligence. And here's what AI had to say about what is on page 8 and 9, right? Very, very easily translated. This classification unlocks the legal infrastructure for tokenized shares and bonds, DeFi assets with economic rights, on-chain funds with dividends or governance rights, all to be treated within the same legal weight as traditional financial securities, meaning the on-chain financial system is no longer a shadow finance. It's stepping into the spotlight, right? So that is it for today's video breakdown. Lots of thorough, really detailed information here for you guys today to unpack. As always, bringing you all the realest information in the game. I'm here in an attempt to show you guys that I do fully agree with Ave's post back here that yield is the Trojan horse. Everybody thinks in crypto, and don't get me wrong, it's really nice to see massive price appreciation in your portfolio, but that is so the mindset prior to 2022, right? If you still have that mindset and you think that that's the only road to riches and road to wealth, you got to wake up. I'm asking you as my follower, as a viewer of this platform, to just simply go out there and do research. Now here at CYPRX, we have curated a full DeFi university for you to tap into this stuff with us and see how we are earning passive rewards on our digital assets actively right now in the moment through different protocols on different chains with different digital assets. And you can tap into that if you choose to do so. And if a mentorship program is not what, suits your best interest or what you think you need, then at least start to watch these panel discussions, tap into these documents, start to expand your knowledge base and your horizon as to what is actually taking place behind the scenes. So with all of that in mind, many blessings to you guys. Be cognizant out there, be aware. I hope to see you guys in the Wealth 28 Club, and I will see you all in the next video breakdown.
stablecoins we're going to see, the more competition there's going to be around, how much yield and how is it distributed to the users. And so I think this place where we're at right now, where there are a bunch of stablecoins and functionally they're doing the exact same thing, I don't think that's going to stay for long. And, people are realizing, I made this equivalent for like a checking account earlier. If you're just holding dollars and not getting yield on them, you're effectively losing money, right? So if you want to be a participant in the on-chain economy, you want to have a way to park your money in a way that generates yield. Yield-bearing stable coins are the way to do that. And there's going to be a lot of competition with that space.